The FujiCast is an independent loading zone production.
Wednesday, 25th of March.
The FujiCast.
Welcome to the FujiCast Daily. Hello, Kev.
Hello, Neil.
What have you been up to in the last 24 hours since we last spoke?
I've been watching Death in Paradise, mostly.
Oh, I thought you were going to watch Miss Marple.
No. I decided to do Death in Paradise instead because there's some new ones. I've seen all the Miss Marples before, but there's some Death in Paradise I haven't seen. So
is Death in Paradise slightly more sort of hardcore than Miss Marple?
Not quite. It's borderline comedy.
Is it? All right, okay. I've never watched it, so I wouldn't know. I should have known that, really. We've watched an awful lot of Disney Pixar. I think I can give you some of the lines from some of the Pixar movies now. We've watched them that many times over the last couple of days, but there we go. So thank you for joining us on the FujiCast Daily. This is usually the FujiCast just goes out on a Monday, and we talk about FujiFilm cameras and stuff, and then we talk about general photography things as well. We normally have an interview. We always have an interview halfway through. It's kind of a sandwich show, if you like, sandwich magazine show, and book review. And so the main Monday show, we still got one in the bag for next week, and I'm not sure after that though, Kev, whether we're going to just continue doing dailies or whether we will do a main show Monday, as we alliterated it. I'm not quite sure, but we'll make that decision between us, won't we?
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So, quite a few different bits and bobs. I mean, this turning very much into a magazine show because I've got like loads of stuff loads of bits and bobs I write down now to remember to do with you each day. So, had something from Tomasz from Fuji Love. His email arrived to promote a film he made with Take Kao. Do you know much about Take Kao? You do, don't you?
Yes, a little bit.
He's one of the main contributors, I think, for Fuji Love. Anyway, they're doing 33 days of Fuji Love magazine with no credit card required. So I thought spread the love a bit. That was a nice idea. Mm-hmm. And also, I saw something come from the music bed community as well. And if you're anything like me, he writes, you've been confused, maybe even discouraged by the headlines dominating the 24-hour media cycle lately. Now, MusicBed is a royalty-free music site, and you've used them, I've used them. Who do you use at the moment, by the way? Which is?
I actually use MusicBed and what's the other ones? IO, ends with IO.
Artlist? No.
Artlist. IO. Artlist.io or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's the one. Well, I use pretty much exclusively Artlist now. I still have an account with Epidemic, but pretty much Artlist. Anyway, but Daniel McCarthy, who's the co-founder of MusicBed, he wrote out and he said, the market's shifting and more people are about to consume content than ever. So I wanted to encourage you with some ideas, some real data and stories from the community. You know, a couple of points that he made here. Creative director in San Diego, large tire manufacturer, just pulled all spend from trade shows and is pushing 100% of it into digital media. It's going to be doing off-roading tutorials, challenges, etc., all online. And quite a few companies are apparently making that move. So for commercial photographers and those thinking, is it time for me to hit commercial? I thought that sounded good. Ideas to get you started, he said. Live streaming. Remember, events have been cancelled and are being cancelled all the time. Content must go online. Interviews, Q&As over things like YouTube, etc. Video tutorials, how-tos. And what does UGC mean? Get the community involved. UGC? Yeah, not quite sure of that. I'll put it in the not quite sure pile over there. So we've also got a friend of the show, Bryan Caporicci, on today. I've got a feeling that we're going to be talking to, possibly splitting an interview into three parts, because he talked to me about the marketing challenge that they're doing through Sprout Studios, his company. But they're at the moment giving you a chance. It's free. You can go and get all sorts of advice on how to market your business following all this and during all this as well. And then what happens when business doors open again, and then contracts. And I thought those three areas were really, really interesting. So Bryan will appear, part one, Bryan, today. Ready for some questions?
Indeed, yep.
So first one is from Nick Leach. Hi Neil, hi Kevin. Thank you very much for continuing into the weekends and into the weeks. Your passion shines through, both of you. Love the way you make it a conversation. So I listened to the weekly today, since we're now on daily. it was about doing away with the equivalent measure for lenses. So he's disagreeing partly with what you said, and I think I kind of came down on your side as well, actually. So disagreeing with us both by proxy. The full frame equivalent. Do you remember we were talking about the numbers? The full frame equivalent is a standard language everybody knows. I'd rather buy Fujifilm lenses. So he's a Fujifilm shooter. Say the numbers. If you're familiar with a Canon lens being 35mm, then the Fujifilm equivalent 35mm. I suppose it's personal preference, isn't it?
Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, you don't walk around with measurements saying 1 meter equivalent of 1.2 feet or whatever.
Well, I wish,
get rid of it. Get rid of it.
I wish the world would come together on that, because when I talk about weight, someone says, "How many stones do you weigh?" Well, I don't know. Kilograms? Can you do kilograms?
Yeah. No, I mean, horses for courses, isn't it? I just think in an APS-C world, keep to APS-C numbers. In a full-frame world, keep to full-frame world numbers. That's it.
Matthias Fox said, "Hi guys, thank you for the efforts to keep the photo community informed and entertained. Very much appreciated. No question, just an inspiring story really, which I think he wanted to get some feedback from us." Mm-hmm. The German portrait photographer Andreas Jorns, I think it's pronounced, just gave away 30 copies of his latest book worth €50 each to people interested in photography and working in healthcare, emergency services or the food supply chain. I know that not everybody's able to do stuff like that, especially in these times, but as I experienced today, a simple thanks for being here to the girl at the supermarket desk made her smile. So things like what Andreas Jorns is doing is obviously a very good thing, isn't it? And weren't you saying yesterday, they've probably all gone now, haven't they? Or is he doing it for a little longer?
Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick.
Yeah, all of his stuff is downloadable though. So yeah, he's given away all of his publications for free for a certain period of time at least. So yeah. Do you remember? I feel bad. I don't have anything to give away.
Yeah. Haven't you got your X100 book? I mean, I know it's quite old now, but.
Well, I sold one of them actually a couple of weeks ago. Funny enough, but
you've still got a few floating around.
Yeah, well, they're in the office. They're in the studio, and I can't get to the studio, of course, because I'm housebound.
No. Are you not even... You can't even walk down there, really, I suppose. It's a non-essential journey, isn't it?
Although we can. We got to walk the dogs, so walk the dogs past the studio. But no, I mean, I don't have enough of them to give away, that's for sure.
You must have a whole load of dividers that you don't use in your camera bags that you could give away.
Yeah. Maybe I'll give away some smiles.
Oh, that would be good.
I got a couple of them in my back pocket.
Do you remember we were saying that, I think I got this wrong, he's corrected me on the stockpiling. It's a problem in Germany as well, apparently, for milk, flour and toilet paper. So it's a worldwide shortage of those things. Although Sam did have to go to the supermarket earlier and told me that nonsense has started to stop.
Yeah, well, I think the supermarkets, in their credit, have said, look, just one toilet roll per person kind of thing. It's. I mean, I'm not worried about things like the food running out and stuff like that, because there are places in the world that have much, much worse chain of supply than we do. And they will be very badly hit. But we, sadly, we have the 99% of normal people in this country, and it seems in every other country. There's 1% that is a complete and utter idiot and ruining it for everybody, really.
All right, do you want a technical one?
Warning.
Stand by. Sean Dono. I recently got an X Pro 3 and have started to have a play with the in-camera multiple exposure settings. There are 4 options being additive, average, bright and dark, but the manual doesn't really explain these in any great detail. And I'm acutely aware, Kev, I don't think you do an awful lot of multiple exposure photography, do you?
No.
Can you advise in any way at all, or is there a Fujifilm contact I should be talking to?
Well... No is the answer from me, because I've never really used it. However, I do remember seeing the slides about it and what they meant. I'm desperately trying to reach back into the annals of my memory.
Oh, excuse my language.
But I can't.
No.
So there'll be loads online. There'll be loads online. Have a look on YouTube. Search for X Pro 3 multiple bracketing, whatever, and I'm sure you'll find it. There will be loads online. But you're right about the manuals. The manuals are rubbish.
For that they are. Wayne Carson, chaps, when normal service resumes, I'm looking to try my hand at wedding photography and appreciate a second camera body is essential. Currently, I own the XT2 56 1.2 23 f2 50 to 140 and 16 f2.8. That's a fairly good camera bag of glass there. Ideally, I'd love the XT4, but if my finances won't stretch, I've seen some great prices for the XT30 refurbished models. Well, would that be would you go XT30 instead of XT2?
I think he's got an XT2, right? So he's thinking of a second body.
Oh, a second body. Okay,
yeah.
a good combo, or would you go for another XT2, or even find a refurbished XT3 maybe?
I think my challenge is that I think if you're shooting professionally as a wedding photographer, you should have two bodies, both that have dual card slots.
Yeah.
XT30 doesn't. So I would probably be tempted to go for a second-hand XT2 instead, or reach for that XT4 if you can do it, or an XT3 or whatever. But avoid single card cameras as a primary shooting camera for a wedding. If you're shooting with two cameras, if it's if you're going to be shooting almost all of the wedding with one camera and this one is just a kind of backup, then maybe the XT30 is an option. But for me, I tend not to risk it.
Friend of the show, James Souls. Gentlemen, thank you for saving my sanity. I've just listened to the first daily episode. Oh, are you catching up still smiling? As I mentioned before, this year is my first full-time year as a wedding photography, and today, so we're going back a couple of days now, I've had 6 emails to cancel bookings for April and May, plus 1 so far in June. An abysmal start to my attempted career as a wedding photographer. Luckily, so far, all but 1, maybe 2, look like we can agree a new date later on in 2021, which is great. I'm being completely compassionate to my couples and moving what I can. This situation is nobody's fault, but the financial implications right now in the coming few months, I can't, he's not hiding the fact they're a concern. I don't want to sound like I'm ignorant of the struggles we all have right now, the struggles of those people in worse situations, but this has hit me mentally quite hard. I've been in a state of worry for the last couple of weeks. The fear of not being able to pay the bills and, more importantly, provide for my little family has been unbearable. The personal mental battles I've had about my decision to go self-employed and the impact it may have for the family have been non-stop. I have this old-fashioned sense of needing to be strong for the family, so I rarely speak of myself. The half bottle of wine, he says, consumed this evening has rather helped, though.
Half.
Hearing the I wanted to add this in because underneath the surface, our little duck feet are going really fast, aren't they? Really, having just listened to your podcast, being reminded that we're all in the same boat, hearing the relaxed, professional way you're both handling the situation and sense of belonging to a community has helped me gain some clarity of thought, and that is important, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I tell you what, as long as the listeners don't see the messages we send to each other on. But yeah, we are all in this together, and it will be rubbish for a while, and then it will stop being rubbish. But I'm hesitant to say that the government are going to help us out because I personally don't think that money will trickle down to people like us. There certainly doesn't seem to be a web link on the government website that says "send me money now." No, that doesn't seem to be happening. Although I have had, the mortgage company have been helpful, and we've had the mortgage payment, mortgage holiday accepted, so that'll push us through for a few months. I think I was talking to Gemma about another business, a friend of ours, and they're in a manufacturing type business, and they were saying that all of this stuff about the money from the government and the salaries and all that kind of stuff, there's a lot of businesses that have contingency in place and have 3 or 4 months of money backed up just in case things like this happen. And what will happen now is that those businesses that have been looking after themselves and are in a good state won't get the money from the government, whereas the businesses that are kind of nailed to the ground and have not been looking after themselves will be the ones that get the money. It's a little bit like I don't know. It's just hard. It's one of those situations where we all have to accept it, get on with it, and deal with it, rather than anything else. Just hope for the best.
James, my personal, if you don't mind, Kev, me put my personal 2 pennies worth in on this, and having had a good few chats with an accountant recently looking into this and doing lots of behind the scenes work with them, as I'm trying to produce some sort of information cast with them. So I've had a few chats now. For the likes of you and I, there will be a trickle down at the moment. This is unlike anything we have experienced, clearly. This is going to be a tangled web to organise. This is not going to be something you can simply flick a switch and solve tomorrow. It'll take a few days, a few weeks, even to make sense of and distribute. So No, it can't take months, and I don't believe it will take months if you're looking for funding and a rescue package. But I am resolute that the country, and I really mean this, won't foreclose on everyone en masse. Call me naive, misguided, or otherwise, but I think the world has hit a reset button. Literally, the world. If you're not on lockdown in a country that thankfully has not been touched by this to an alarming extent, you'll still be within a world affected by this. You can't escape it. Reset is reset of social responsibilities, reset of commercial understandings, reset of values. And I see a period of empathy, James, coming out of this that we haven't experienced before. And I think those who don't practice empathy will be very much of the kind of community we'll find hard to tolerate, because we've all been affected to a degree. Sorry, Kev, I know you're going to be silent there. Let's move on. There is a question in here as well. I can't find it. I'm clicking around here madly trying to find it, so I'm going to have to try and remember it. I'm going to throw this one at you anyway. I will find it over the next couple of days, and I'll credit whoever sent it in. But somebody sent a question in and said, I really like the way that you guys obviously have a great relationship, know each other, and it does feel like it was the familiar sort of analogy of listening to two blokes in a pub talking, although these days it has to be a virtual pub. The question was, but I'm sure it can't be like that all the time. Is there anything about Neil, Kevin, that particularly drives you bonkers, and the other way round? I thought it was brilliant. I love that. Go on then.
Right. You go first.
I don't think it drives me bonkers, but sometimes, all right, if we're being honest here.
Warning.
Sometimes I think you are too hard on yourself. And Gemma said that before, to be honest, Kev. I think, Kev, haven't you learned? Internally, obviously.
Yeah. No. And in fairness, I know I can see it in your eyes that's what you're shouting at me.
But no, not really. I mean, I'm not really annoyed by anything. I think we're good mates, aren't we? I think.
Yeah, I think so. I can't actually think of anything.
No,
to be honest with you,
I thought that might be the case. I think sometimes you get. I noticed on Messenger that if I've been in one of my jolly moments, which I'm really trying to do hard, I don't instantly get a reply. I'm thinking, have I just driven Kev mad with one of my stupid jolly moments?
No. Well, the thing is, now I'm working at home. I've got my computer and everything is in the living room.
Yeah.
And I'm not using my laptop. I've actually brought my main studio computer home so I can do all my work. So I'm not on Facebook, so I don't see the messages all the time. So when I'm typically working a day as much as I can.
Yeah.
Although I must admit I did spend an hour lying in the sun outside just now, and then I switch the computer off, and then I go and watch British crime films.
Do you know that's going to be important, isn't it, over the next couple of months, or however long this is? Donald Trump thinks it's going to be all over in a couple of weeks, I know, but that you do take some downtime as well, isn't it? That actually, yes, go and sit in the garden, enjoy some sun rays.
Yeah, I said to Gemma this morning, I said, you know what, I think I might find it quite difficult going back into society. I get quite used to this.
You have always said to me that you'd quite like to live on your own island.
I did,
and effectively you've got it.
I always used to think when people used to kind of be under house arrest, I used to think, that sounds quite nice, actually.
Oh, dear. Again, gallows humour. Look, just for the record, I am taking this very, very seriously, but if we sat here and put out a depressing podcast each day, I don't think you'd be listening to it. Right, we seem to have settled into a routine of having a guest on, Kev, and that's good. And over the coming weeks or months, as long as we're in this situation, The Daily Show will attempt to bring to your ears a mix of experts talking about photography business, some of you with what you've been doing to keep yourself occupied or stuff that you're working on, and some human stories. And I have a human take on this that, frankly, you will not be expecting in the next week or so. Today, friend of the show, Bryan Caporicci, who runs the Business of Photography podcast. So, Bryan, I think this might be the first of a few chats we have over the next couple of months. It's always a pleasure to talk to you anyway.
Hey, yeah, thank you. I love what you guys are doing. I think this is great. You're showing up in a big way for the community. So I appreciate what you guys are doing, and any way that I can get involved to help is awesome.
Well, the great leveler in all this is it doesn't matter what side of the pond you're on or what side of the axis of the world you're on. We're all in this one together.
Which is kind of mind-boggling to think about. Like, when you really think about it, I've had so many conversations over these past couple of weeks with photographers, with other educators, and every time I say the word worldwide pandemic, it's kind of just like crazy to think that we as a human species are all struggling through this together.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
I've got 3 things on my list. And I think those 3 things could keep us here for a whole episode in itself. So what's very probable to happen, since we're doing slightly shorter dailies, is I may end up chopping these into little bits. You're going to become episodic, if you like.
I feel like each one of those things probably could be its own episode.
It could.
The way that we talk.
Yeah, you're right. So I've labelled marketing challenge. I've labelled what happens when the doors open again. And I've labelled contracts. Let's start with marketing challenge, because that's something you're doing through your company. So if you're not aware of Bryan, the business of photography is certainly another podcast you should definitely be listening to now. But can you tell me about the marketing challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. As we go through this crisis together, again, like as an industry, as a community, but also just in general, all entrepreneurs, all people are going through this. One of the things that we recognize, but also obviously our industry has recognized, is that we're all affected in such a massive way by this. And small businesses are certainly no exception. I know that you guys have been talking about it, Neil.
Yeah.
I've seen it in the Facebook group. I've seen it in literally every community that I see online. Photographers are struggling right now. This is a difficult time. They're having cancellations, reschedules. There's so much uncertainty happening around what we do that it's difficult to know what to do or how to navigate it, or to not get into this sort of panic mode where you think, am I going to be closing down my business when this is all over? Like, am I going to be able to weather this storm? And so that's where, when this all started about 2 weeks ago, I guess for here in North America, we at Sprout basically said, okay, how can we pivot everything that we're doing right now and try and in some way be of service to the industry and to the community that we've built, to say, let's get through this together, and here's how we can get through it together. So we surveyed everybody. We had a lot of conversations. And what we realized that was probably the most useful way that we can spend our time, and the most useful way that we can help, is to guide photographers through working on some of these back-end systems that they have in marketing and in sales and in communication and in customer experience, to help them build a better marketing machine so that they can do some things now to get ahead of the curve, but they can also get things prepped so when this is all over and when the dust has settled, they're going full speed ahead, and they're ready to actually take bookings and earn more money. And so at the end of the day, that's what we're just trying to do, is we're just trying to throw as many ideas and create as many different perspectives on marketing and selling that we can help photographers to earn some money so that they're not struggling to put food on the table when this is all over.
There's a word I don't like anymore, by the way. The 2 words, the curve, is a phrase
right.
I've learned to loathe, but I know what you mean by the one you're explaining.
True. Yeah.
Let's come back on that in a moment. Just very quickly, for those that aren't aware of Sprout, it's plug time. Tell us what Sprout is, so that everybody's got the gaps filled in as we talk further.
Cool, for sure. Yeah, sir. I say Sprout, and I realize that some people may not know what Sprout is. So I'm the CEO and founder of Sprout Studio. So Sprout Studio is a studio management suite that we've built for photographers to help them run their business. So you can do all of your client management, your emails, your pricing, your selling, your galleries, your digital delivery, your contracts, your invoices. You do everything you need to run your business in one place with Sprout. So that's what Sprout is, and that's where we've been for the last 5 years. I'm also an educator, though, and that's actually how I came to found Sprout, is because I realized there was nothing out there like it. So I said, well, let's create it. That's how every good story starts, right?
Well, what's that phrase? No, lovely animated movie. We loved robots. Is Cyanide Philamide. That's
there you go. Exactly.
There we go.
I scratched my own itch. I can tell you that much for sure. It's bleeding now, but yeah, I scratched it. So
that's what my hands look like with all this bloody hand washing at the moment. But
I know, right?
We have to do it. We have to do it. So look, let's come back to the marketing. So you're doing marketing challenge each day with your clients and people outside as well that want to join you.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So anybody. We have a Facebook community with 6,000, 7,000 photographers there. So we're streaming live there. We're reposting it on YouTube. We're reposting it on Instagram. So we're just trying to get it in any way that we possibly can get it out there to help photographers.
And every single day is a new challenge, something that you're suggesting for people's businesses, whatever genre they're in, I suppose, because everybody's going to be... Well, we were talking just before we pressed the big red button and recorded this about different genres being affected in different ways. Weddings, of course. Well, there's postponements, cancellations, but there's a likelihood, of course, that you'll retain that business as it pushes through winter and then into next summer. But of course, not everybody is in that luxurious position, are they?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like every industry and every geographical area is going to be affected in a different way. At the end of the day, the common denominator is that we are affected in some way. And so the sort of approach that we're taking with this marketing challenge is to say, now is the time where obviously we're not out shooting. So we're spending a lot more time in our offices, at home, kind of heads down, wondering what to do. And instead of letting the panic take over us, and instead of stressing about how we're going to make ends meet, let's try and spend this time productively and be useful and create a system so that we can survive when this is all over. So we've basically created a bit of a roadmap, where we're basically walking photographers through every single day a different step on that roadmap. So we started with, let's spend some time and work on your website. And here are some very specific things to focus on. We're not saying to go and rebuild your website because you can't do that in a day. You can't do that in a week. But here are some very specific things that you can tweak to make things better, to increase conversion rates, to increase retention rates, things like that. And then we're just walking down that path. So yesterday we did SEO and analytics on your website at 11 o'clock today. So in an hour from now, I'm going on to talk about, let's spend some time and just tweak and optimize our Facebook pages and our Instagram profiles. Tomorrow, we're talking about testimonials and how you can use them and use this time to gather testimonials. We're going to go into Facebook ads, and then we're going to go into a whole bunch of other sort of quick one-off ideas that you can do to earn some money, like teach a photography class or mini sessions and how you can structure mini sessions to be profitable, partnership marketing, how you can generate leads during this time for weddings, family portrait plans, recurring commercial plans, all different kinds of things like that. Just trying to throw as many ideas out there because we realize that every photographer is in a different situation. So if we can give one idea or many ideas that will help a photographer be like, oh yeah, I could totally do that. Let's go ahead and kick that off. And if that could make up the revenue that they lost because of this, then I consider it a job well done.
And each day you're doing a new session. So I assume that the previous days will still be left on your YouTube, your Sprout YouTube portal one day.
Yeah, totally. It's all there. We email the morning of in a link to the Facebook Live. So if you want to join live, you can go there live. We email it out to I think 18 or 20,000 people that we have on our list. And then at the end of every day, we email out to that same group of people a summary. So you have a full transcription of what we talked about. And then you can always go back and watch the replay either on Facebook or on YouTube as well.
And how long is each session, roughly?
30 minutes to 45 minutes or so.
Okay. So it's relatively bite-sized and something to perhaps schedule into your day.
Exactly. Every day at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard. That's basically where we are. And we're just having folks come join us and fit it into their schedule.
Thank you to Bryan. Over the next either a couple of days or 4 or 5 days, we'll break it up maybe a little bit. We're going to hear more from Bryan. So today we've heard about a marketing challenge. And I do think if you're a professional photographer and you're thinking, oh, what do we do now? I think the marketing challenge and the YouTube videos that he's got are worth going to. So, and that's free for you. And that's all about serving and giving in this time. I'm doing my own Kev on Friday. I'm doing a Zoom get together for an hour. I'm going to do a free course on some sound stuff. So I think everybody's joined that can join it now. So we'll do another one at some stage, I'm sure. And then with Bryan, we're going to be doing what happens when business doors open again, and also contracts. So that's it. What are you doing this evening? Oh, the news today, Kev. Wow. Prince Charles.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
I'm sure he'll be fine.
Well,
hopefully.
Fingers crossed, touching wood. What are you doing this evening, Kev? Not Miss Marple, the other one you're watching.
I think I've got a bit more of Murder, She Wrote to watch as well. Got a lot of that to get through. And then, I don't know. What will I do next? Don't know. I have to start thinking about it.
I was having a little clear up, actually, and I found a box set of Columbo. All the Columbos you could ever want. But do you want to know the bad news?
You haven't got a DVD player?
No.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
The FujiCast is an independent loading zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.